Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning brief on a Friday, October 2nd. All right, well, what an interesting turn of events through the evening. Of course, everybody knows that the President and First Lady have tested positive for coronavirus. That is confirmed. They're saying this morning that it is that at least the President is showing symptoms. We'll probably only get updates on the President and not the First Lady, but same sort of deal there, with her. If something would happen to either of them, obviously that's not really what we need going into the election. So our thoughts and prayers go out with not only them, but Hope Hicks and their family. And when you think about, how many people that they've been in contact with over since the debate, which was, a couple days ago, pretty crazy to think of the amount of folks in power of the country that are now having to kind of dial back, take care of themselves, and not only get tested more than once sort of thing, but also their families. So quite an interesting place for a minor breakout of coronavirus, if you will, and especially in relation to an election that's 30 some days away. So how does that relate to the markets? That's going to be our talk today. I'm not sure there's a lot of answers here other than I will give you my 2 cents, and that's something we'll probably be talking about through the next week or so until there's kind of more of a resolution. So that's kind of the intro to address that right up front. But it is Friday, so hopefully you had a great week, and this is the last day of the week, so we'll wrap up the market day. It's going to be a red day out there. I don't see there's any chance of flipping into the green. So anyhow, we'll get things started. Make sure you have your windows set up. What you don't see if you're catching us on replay is a Q&A window, so questions need to go in there. There's also a chat window for us to communicate back and forth with each other. That's how folks can either answer questions or make comments that I can address. If there's a ticker you want me to take a look at, please throw it in there. If you're catching us on replay or on some other forum, if you want to join us, reach out to me at steve@ototnow.com, or just go to the website. You'll see all the information that you need to be able to join us in the mornings. All right, our mission and objectives today: grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Well, kind of the protect our money is the mode you need to be in right now. So not really going to address it with what we're going to talk about today. But this is one of those days where really the question, good morning, Predator, the question for everybody is, and it's a Friday, so is, do I sell a bunch of stuff today? Well, when you think of what I always like to say, none of us is as dumb as all of us, and that's what makes the market, right? There's no right or wrong answers here. There are going to be people that do some entire wholesale selling today of their portfolio. There's a couple things. Obviously, we could be, with the age of the president, at least. First Lady is obviously not quite as old, but they're in the, of course, best healthcare in the world. You would think would be right there available to them. But there, could something happen where we could lose a president in the next few days to a week or so. And then, of course, there's a small transition of power to the vice president, who is a little bit younger anyway, and then the election right there. So there's a lot of volatility going on. Also, it is a Friday. Now, I've said that a couple times without explaining it, so my bad. So let's talk to that. Friday, realize you have a couple days worth of information to bake in. That's why Fridays tend to be more volatile. And you tend to see not only me, but everybody else out there make more, your decision making on a Friday has to price in the fact that by Monday, that's a couple days away. If this happens on a Wednesday night, well, you just have to survive the overnight till the market opens in the next morning, and then you can readjust your, make your decisions then. Well, now we need to necessarily price in a couple days of news. So, what are some things that could happen in the next couple days? Well, president could pass away. I mean, that's obviously, that would be the biggest news for the country. The folks that think we're at the foot of a second, or we're at the beginning of a second wave, will dominate the media this weekend. Period. All those folks that are a little bit extreme in their take on this, I think that's a personal opinion. We don't know till the movie's over how it's going to end, but those folks are going to dominate the military or the media, and they're going to scare the crap out of people. So that's probably going to start today. So I would see that, we're going to have a big red day. We're down a couple percent already. I could see it just continuing down through the day. So what are you going to do? If you're trading, certainly you would want to trade. You would want to trade short today. If you're a long-term investor, which includes like 99% of the population, or at least you should be, generally you're just going to hold through this. Price it in as a part of the volatility in the election. So I don't plan to make any huge moves in the portfolio. I may go in and clean out some speculative stuff. Just going into the election. So what does that mean? Not selling Apple or Amazon, but I might, if we've been into Kohl's or some other things, go in there and kind of clean out the portfolio. It hasn't worked. I either have to make a decision on to hold that through Christmas kind of thing, or just clean it out now and get some cash, maybe some bond funds, that sort of thing. So I wouldn't, it's not a sell it all sort of thing, but other people will say that. And of course, you'll see a couple folks on the move. On the CNBC today, if you stare at it all day, that will be say, go to cash, buy gold, sell it all. The standard thing, the broken record that they have whenever there's any negativity out there. But what we're going to look at specifically for our tactical objectives today are the recovery stocks. So we're going to look at the airlines specifically. And the reason I chose this today, and I chose this earlier this week, is their money has run out as far as the government aid. You're talking airlines that need to that are now furloughing folks. And, a little bit of, one data point insight is I have 5 trips scheduled in the next 6 months for volleyball mostly to be able to hop on airplanes. I'm not scared of travel. And I think you heard Jim Cramer, like only 18 cases have come from flying, airplane related, because it really is super safe. You wear a mask, everything's super sanitized, and the air systems on those airliners have always been good. But as far as a whole, from an investment, is now the time to go into airlines and other recovery stocks. So think cruise lines, movie theaters, casinos, sort of things that are positioned, if you will, to bounce on a recovery. They're absolutely not the time to get into these. I may not short them, but certainly it's a stay away. They'll have their day in the sun again, but it's not going to be anytime soon, in my opinion. So we'll take a look at that. Question of the day: how will Trump's COVID-19 case affect the election? We'll talk about that a little bit more. There's no answers there. I'll just give you my 2 cents on things, and we can do that after we watch the market open. Okay, for our flow today, long, short, open, short, long, we're going to take a look at the markets in the U.S. Obviously, the news from last night with the president is going to affect international markets as well. You could argue whether it should or you shouldn't. Doesn't matter. It does. And then we'll go into the headlines, which will again be dominated with not only the president's condition, but there is some insight into here we can gain from. We're probably going to get, I imagine, a play-by-play, if you will, from treatments that the president undergoes, maybe the first lady too, if they do the same things. He has had his comments and beliefs about wearing a mask. His favorite, drink chlorine or whatever it was. So there will be interesting because now he's here. So we'll see what he and his medical staff decide to do. And it'll be interesting to see if he walks back at all on the mask thing. I don't know. I think that would actually bolster his case going into the election if he just does a mea culpa and says, well, crap, I guess I'll stop making fun of the vice president and his extra large mask and wear one myself. I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. But it will dominate the headlines. Long-term investments, take a look at that. Our short-term day trading execution. It's been a good week, but a bad day yesterday with a couple that worked against us. Today it's going to be tough. I really have very little on my sheet because the market isn't really. It's more selling off as a whole instead of individual names. So we'll track that. We'll go into some day trading mode and see if we take anything today or not. We'll execute the market open, then we'll answer your questions and go into the question of the day. If you have any contingency issues, again, tech support at steve@ototnow.com, and we'll get that solved. And standard disclaimer information. It is a financial education presentation, so do your own due diligence before you act on anything you hear this morning. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at ThinkPipes. This is our day trading screen. We'll get back to that in a minute, but it's instructive. SPY, Apple, Tesla, Palantir, same thing. So when I say stocks are all acting the same, they really are. So these are almost mirror image charts, right? I mean, that's literally look exactly alike. So it's dominate. Obviously you have the one headline dominating the news. All right, here is that is frozen. So we are not going to be able to look at the year in review. So we will skip that while we get out of this, and I'll re-enter and come back to it. Let's go ahead and share out cnbc.com, and I'll talk to that while I multitask and get the other ThinkPipes back open. Okay, so you're seeing CNBC here. We're going a little bit out of order. Go ahead and refresh there. So everything's down. 400 points will say, I don't think we've hit 500 yet this morning, but that would not surprise me if we do going into the open. So I am trying to get the ThinkPipes out open on another screen, so we shall see. All right, Asian markets actually kind of mixed. Hong Kong's up a little bit, so not as bad as I thought. There were our numbers yesterday, which are literally irrelevant, except for volatility spiked yesterday, even though the market was up, and volatility is going to spike today. That's going to happen. So let's see, we have Europe, which was in the red last time I checked, about 1%. We have bonds out there, again, not going to truly move. Oil did move down pretty big off of this, and I don't necessarily can't explain why. But I saw a headline earlier, oil sells off hard on Trump's coronavirus news. I need a decoder ring if somebody's got one to follow the logic there. I don't see the one for one on why they're tied, but somebody thinks there is, at least made a headline about it. All right, let's take a look at gold. 10 today would be something with volatility spiking. You might see a move up in gold. I would rather take the VXX long for the volatility play than necessarily move into gold. All right, back to pre-market. We will check some headlines. Jobs numbers float in, obviously, yesterday, and the unemployment, 7.8 or 7.9%, not really the end of the world as far as unemployment is trending in the right direction, so we shall see. Oh, evidently there was a NBA playoff game and a horrible football game. Oh my goodness, there was just some bad sports yesterday. All right. Here's what happens next. Again, that's going to dominate the news cycle, so you can catch that. Yeah, I still don't follow it, Predator. I see your comment, but I'm not sure. My brain either is not awake this morning, or yeah, I don't know. I do know that when you look at the EV stocks like we talked about this week in the future of investing, that is still the investable thesis going forward. No doubt in my mind, we shall see. Obviously, Palantir has done nothing but cost us money. It's been 2 days. Lighten up. There's people taking profits right now of the Palantir people. So we shall see. All right, there's going to be a lot of people talking today and looking like experts. Airlines, cruise lines fall. We're going to raise fears of second wave. So if the president can get it, that means I can get it. I know that's how people think. It's not necessarily a one for one, but I know they think. All right, Tesla Autopilot, we talked about this, scores lower than the rest of these. That's kind of interesting. But again, all that technology, we want to invest in that. And we talked about the names earlier this week. Black Friday is not happening this year, and I thought that we were getting close enough to it that the retailers were going to start trying to hedge back in, like we'll do a small one. I don't think, obviously, with the president getting this thing, that they're going to be able to do that now. So we shall see. All right, that's it for the headline news. We are back in business at TD Ameritrade, so let's pop up in a little bit out of order this morning. But here's where we are looking at the year. Really, we popped out. We held this 320 level. We're up to 337. So it's worthwhile looking at market levels. So let's talk about how bad the sell-off could be today. Could we limit down, first of all? Could 7% when the market opens? I don't see that happening like in the first 15 minutes. That was, pandemic days in March. I could see us starting 2% down and ended up maybe 5% down today. But here's the difference. There's going to be money flowing back in to where in March it was doom and gloom of the unknown and people really hadn't had time to really sit and think. So when you don't have time to sit and think and you don't have necessarily your game plan tight, then you can sell while you figure it out. I mean, that's smart money management, being diligent. I have my game plan figured out, so you can expect me to hold the course. I am not buying. People have been kind of, except for, we had the IPOs that we bought because that's an independent of the election. But for the most part, I'm not going to hop in and buy a Facebook or an Apple today. No, let it sell. And if anything, we're better off if it does sell off going into the election and be able to reposition and buy things lower once we get through the election, get the new tax code or sanctions against China. Or I have not heard Mike Pence say one word, or maybe I'm not listening, but what is a Pence presidency? What does that bring? If something, if the president doesn't end up surviving this, I hadn't really thought about that. So we'll see. But all those stuff, I think buying in now is premature. However, there are people out there that are going to look to put money to work. So if we would see a 5% sell-off today, there's going to be money that's going to come in and buffer the sell-off, I think. So we shall see. It's not as scary as March was. We're all kind of cut our teeth on this. We're grizzled veterans of COVID, if you will. So I don't see us falling down below the 320 level. Now, I have called before that the election will end up taking us down to the 320 to 300, but I don't think it's going to be a news event that takes it down this area. I think it's just going to be a small sell-off. All right, so let's look at the past 5 days, and all I really care about showing you is that, yep, we're on an uptrend, and we're down to a downtrend. So so this is what, 2% here. So think, what does 5% look like? Well, extrapolate the math that takes us to here and then say, oh no, that takes me all the way back to where I was on Monday. So we've had a good week, a lot of gains. We're not going to hit the lows of March. We're hitting the lows of, Monday. So yeah, it could be a day to tune out, look away, stop staring at the app. Sort of thing. Maybe focus only on Palantir and see if it can hold $9. What? Yeah, I know it's selling off. I got you. I hear you. Without saying anything, I hear you. All right, calendar. We did have some earnings out this morning. We had Twilio crushed earnings. That's a name I like. If that name sells off anymore, I'm thinking about buying it. And we had Carnival, which I haven't seen the headline other than they're selling off, but we'll take a look at that. And then there's our chart. So how are we doing? Well, we're kind of holding here a little bit. It's not a fire sale, if you will. And I took, these are different names and we're up earlier. Let's see where Palantir is while we're right here. Don't tell me that doesn't exist, because it does. I just can't spell. Oh, right at 904. So, yep, busted it earlier. So we shall see. All right, now let's go to talk about our long-term thesis today. Was the leisure stocks, how are they going to be affected? Yeah, limit order at 100 for Tesla. I like the way you think, and I've commonly said that, it's holding 400. But literally, if it was really priced to what it was worth, it'd be below 100. People don't like when I say that, and they think I'm dumb, and that's okay. They can think that. I'm not dumb. I'm certainly wrong. I've been wrong on Tesla, and I'll own that. I don't care. All right, American Airlines. Here's what we're looking at. So again, trucking along at 30. Here's where I call this the Robin Hood gang, because largely professional money back managers were sitting back going, no, don't buy into this stuff. But here we had the, what kind of recovery? Well, if you think of the recovery for the overall market, pivoted at March 24th and the market goes higher, right? Well, at some point in time, as the market starts screaming back higher, these stocks have been left for dead, and all the value people, I call this dumpster diving. It's called value investing, but I negatively call it dumpster diving. We'll come in here and eventually go, oh my gosh, these things have been left for dead. I can make all kinds of money. And then they make all kinds of money. Well, if they sold, good on them. If not, then they just gave it all back and they're back where they were. When is the next big move up? I think it really is when vaccines go out to the masses. Now, markets will predict that slightly. So whenever it looks like the money will start flowing back in, when it looks like the vaccine's going out to the masses, so it might lead that a little bit. I bought Carnival up here, CCL, to again show you the same sort of thing. Had a move up, not quite as much. I think the airlines are a lot safer than the cruise lines, if you will. Because airlines are designed around the reprocessing of the air and purification and all that stuff. Where I don't know I'm not as familiar, but I'm not, I don't know about a cruise line. Probably has some of that, below deck sort of thing, but certainly not above deck because it's open air. But these things have been flatlining for 3 months. I would not touch either of these, but there will be people that will say they're a buy at some point in time. So let's look at some other things along those themes. I have 2 airlines up here. This is TD Ameritrade. This is Schwab's display. We have American and United up there. So I don't know. I think American's going to get hurt the worst out of all of this. They have the layoffs. That was 19,000 people furloughed sort of thing. So we shall see if they don't get another stimulus specific for the airlines. We could lose a major out there. We really could. And that's kind of crazy to think. I think the government will probably hop in. Maybe this thing forces some, today or some weekend getting some stimulus serious pass. Wouldn't be passed today, but the effort back towards a stimulus package could come out of this. Here's Carnival Cruise Line, House of Pain. You already saw that. Cut their dividend, not paying that anymore. I have AMC over here. Remember bankruptcy thoughts down to $2. They've bounced over 100% since then. But theaters are back open. I have not ventured out. I think Predator has. There we go. I look back. I remember Hertz too, you bet. Movie theater on Wednesday, Predator reports, absolutely dead. Movies that look good are getting pushed back. Yeah, you're right. When you look at Disney, which obviously that's a big name in the investing world, Mulan projected to lose like $150 million. Again, they released it out on one of the online streaming, or Disney Plus, I guess, at $20 a pop. Well, collecting $20 for a family of 4 or more is a pretty good price compared to when I take the whole team to the movie theater. And of course we have a Flicks Brew House here, so you can sit back and have, full meals and drinks served to you. That's it's a century note, $100 venture. You take a family of 4 out, but they're only getting $20 and we're having popcorn and frozen pizza, for $3 or whatever it is, sitting at home. So we'll see. I couldn't invest in AMC right now either. Casinos are another thing. I do have a trip planned in November, so I'm kind of anxious to see what Vegas looks like in November, to see if it's alive or if it's dead or signs of life. Or MGM, I brought this name up here because MGM has kind of outpaced the others. One of the things that's come out of this, I think, is a long-term gain for everyone, is MGM and their properties have gone non-smoking. Which has been something the casino industry has hesitated to do for years, because that was kind of their, if you think, no offense to everybody, but degenerate type behavior of gambling your savings away, which again, a lot of these people capitalize on, a lot of casinos capitalize on people that do that as a habit, negative habit, smoking, negative habit, drinking, negative habit. So all of these kind of, come into one sort of, that's the type of person they're targeting. So anyhow, we'll see. But I don't think that is, I was glad to see them do that. So, and the last one, if you want to take an index fund, look at everything. PEJ is your leisure and travel index fund. So obviously that hasn't gone anywhere. I don't expect that to go anywhere anytime soon. All right. Got long-winded today, some long and short names, nothing that I really absolutely like. We'll start short first. I had 0 names that qualified with our 5 to 10% down. It seems like everything is 2% down and not much is going down faster than that. I've got a WITR. It might be WTTR, so I have to wait to see for it to pop up. Nothing's there, so maybe it's WTTR. Select Energy Services, and it is gapping up, so that's not going to work. And then NEO was down 3.5% on not meeting some numbers. Let's see. Report September delivers increased 133% to, there's the number of vehicles. And so funny, these names get so much credit, 4,700 vehicles. Okay. Anyhow, it's moving down on that news, what appears to be good news. So I don't know if I could short into that. So really, I'd be looking at either SH. So let's look at SH. This is shorting the entire market. if you think we're just going to sell off today. That would be one way to do it. 2028, that's gapping up. That doesn't make sense. And then VXX would be going long in the VIX if you think it's going to sell off. So again, this would be my play. We'll have this open and up. You know, I'm into the VXX right now anyway, at 25, moving up to 26.3. So VXX will be my number one for a long, and I don't have a short. So let's come over here and look for a short. Looking for, here's Tesla down 5%. So that is the heart of the envelope for us. So we'll put Tesla short up there. You know my track record, so I don't want to break my track record because I'm 0 for life on shorting Tesla, but it certainly meets our criteria, so we'll have it up. Trade Desk selling off a little bit, low volume. NVIDIA, again, I don't think that there's anything wrong with these names. There's Amazon, 20,000 COVID-19 infections. Again, even if it sells off, that would be short term. Turn around looking long. There are a lot of bio names out there that we're not going to necessarily take a look at because we're out of time before we open. Twilio did beat earnings though, so there you have Twilio, plenty of volume going from 256 to 278. So that will be our long. All right. 3 minutes to go here. We'll look at, let's see, we looked at VXX. HGen was the best of the bios that I saw out. Almost has the volume 9.6 up to 10.5. I can't remember what I liked about this. Rapid response testing maybe. So anyhow, HGen we'll be looking at long as well off of the news. That'll be our third long, and again, but it's tough for longs because the market is probably going to continue red. All right, let's look at one across the tabs real quick. There's NEO. Not going to hop in front of that. We're familiar with NNOX, NanoX Tech. There's the Twilio jump. Look at the decliners. All right, let's set up our, may not trade today. Let's see, NKLA blank WKS, since you mentioned it, let's just take a look. Gapping down, that may be a theme across the board. Gapping down, Workhorse, these are all great names though, so I'm a little leery to short them today. Man, you're right, they're all gapping down. We may put one of them up here. All right, but let's switch our screens and get set up for trading. Again, I think the only real thesis there for them gapping down is that they've run up so much, which is a thesis. Not as much as having like a downgrade or a missed earnings. All right, we got the SPY on the left. We'll look at the VXX long. So again, that's an that's kind of going short, if you will. And then there's NKLA. We don't want that. For our longs, we'll look at, for a short, we'll look at Tesla. That has the most to move to the downside, so maybe we'll short Tesla after all. And then looking long, we'll look Twilio. So we have long, short, long. But, in the brain, this is a short. It's just acting in reverse. All right, so here we go to the opening bell, about 15 seconds. So VXX long is really what I'm looking at. We'll take a look at Twilio short, Twilio long, and then Tesla short, and keeping an eye on the overall market. So here we go. All right, we're going to take the vol long. We'll take it at 26.40, and it's going to be a 15-cent stop. It's going to be a 20-cent stop. So again, nice and patient. Kind of looking over here to the left. Expecting the market to sell off. Actually, that was kind of some strength going into the open. That's kind of interesting. Twilio is not working. That's going straight south. Volatility is reduced here, so let's take, I still think we're look at the market. That's what keeps it interesting. So market's down 1.5%. So we're just going to chill for a second and look at what the market is doing overall. So you've got the Dow down 383, so that's 1.4%. The S&P, which is over here, 1.5%, that's all the way on the left. And then the NASDAQ was down 2%, but everything is climbing, if you will. So I do like the VXX long trade, so we're going to keep an eye on that. So this is what we would need to see is the market overall reverses and then turns around and comes short. As far as my names on the big board, my top 53 names, there's one in the green, and it's Clickstream, which obviously is penny stock, so it travels on its own. All right, there's Twilio starting to reverse. Again, this meets our criteria for going long. I don't think I can do that. Tesla, you know, meets our criteria for going short. I don't think so. There's people look at this stock that thinks, okay, well, 420 is a steal because it sold off down, 5%. So again, VXX, I like that, but we'll need the market to reverse in order for this to work. Otherwise, we're not trading today. We'll just go on about our day. Let's get rid of Twilio and look at some other things. I had HGen was a long. This is a tech or a biotech name. Obviously jumped up 8% or so, 9%. So this would be a long. I don't really like the way that's setting up. It's not really moving. That's only 14 cents across that entire bar there. All right, we're starting to see the rally run out of steam. So this is kind of interesting to talk about. So these are it's that doji that I talk about. When you see, market's trying to go higher, can't. Market's trying to go higher, can't. And then it finally falls. And if you were to trade the overall, SPY, you would get in here and you could short the SPY too. I don't like that. A lot of other traders just give up on a day like this and go, hey, we're going to short the overall market. You'd wait for it to go to about 332 and then take it south. I want to take this and go north. So let's see this. We bottomed out at 26. So let's go 26.20 on the VIX, and it's going to be a 25-cent stop. So again, we're taking the VXX long. 26.2 is the level we're going to get in, and 25 cents is going to be the stop. If it doesn't hit it, then it doesn't hit it. But when you look at if you look over on the left, I'm hesitant to move my cursor. If you see the market stripe down, you're going to see this stripe up right here, and that's what we're looking to catch is that entry. Almost 4 minutes into the trading day. So again, market's still climbing a little bit, but starting to run out of steam from where we were. So here's that doji again for trying to go higher, and now I think we're going to see the market start to sell off, which takes us higher over here. Tempted to come down here, but I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to make a little note. Well, there goes the market goes higher. So I'm just taking a little note there that's my entry point. Want to take a look at some other names. Look at LKNCY. Luckin has been kind of on fire, so it's down 7 cents. That's not a big deal. The only one that's up big is Clickstream. Is up 30% or now. It's now only up 20%. But you're down at the 0.03 level, so it's kind of easy for things to happen that way. For setting up our trades, still the same thing holds. 26.20 down below the low of the day is our stop, so we'll give ourselves an extra 5 cents. So again, looking for the market if it turns south, VXX turning north, entering at 20.62 and going long. That means a 25 cents for 3R would be 26.95 is the level that it would have to get to, which would be up off the screen. So, but I like that entry. Tesla we can give up on. Let's see what Apple's doing here. Have it on another screen, it's down 1.6%. Ooh, that's a little delay over on, oops, that's Micron. Get my screen fixed. All right, there we're starting to see some red in the market. Get Apple pulled up over here. There's our Apple, 2.35%. And let's pull up American. down 3%. Let's look at Carnival since it had earnings earlier, down 3.5%. So that's another way to play this. You could short into the, that's a pretty good move back. You could short into a cruise line here if the market starts to sell off. I still like the VXX long trade. But we shall see. Six minutes into the day, so if we don't take something in the next about 2 minutes, we'll just give up on a day trading entry and move on about our day. See, Kramer's talking about Tesla. Stocks tumble. Yep. Yeah, just talking general presidential stuff. So, all right, I'm going to leave this. We'll check back on it in a second. Let's look over at, see what's up. Clickstream we talked about. A couple of BNDX, that's International Bond Fund. G-bill Treasury's up. Really not much of anything is up. Look, kind of an ocean of red. See what's down big. These are all options that are down. Workhorse down 5%. Tesla 4%. Kohl's 3.5%. Finding new lows likely. Sony's down. You know, I like that name right now because PlayStation 5 coming out. There's some airlines: Love, DAL, Boeing, GoDaddy, Callaway Golf, Apple. There's our Luckin. So a lot of names to the downside, not much to the upside, and that's to be expected. All right. Well, I am not going to sit around and wait here for the VXX. So no trades today. Let's look at Blink real quick since you pulled up Blink and Workhorse. Pushing back. I'd imagine Workhorse probably traveling right with that, just pushing back. Yeah, a little bit. So down, but not as down as they were. So, all right. And market's coming back. So there you go. So all the people that freaked out this morning and sold it all, it appears that the market is maturely processing the fact that the president has COVID. So, all right, let's go over to the question of the day. And to talk about that, I'll just leave that chart up there for you. Again, question of the day: how will Trump's COVID-19 case affect the election? Let's talk about some different scenarios, and then I will let you go. So, scenario one is when you talk about as an investor, you don't want to go all in on any of the different outcomes, right? And I get this from the military planning model, born out of the Army. Obviously, it's used in the joint forces, so Air Force as well. But no matter what you think is going to happen, you still have a plan for, if things go a lot better than expected, if things go kind of a lot better than expected, a little better than expected, as expected, a little lower than expected, and then things go to crap. No matter what your plan you choose, how is it affected by all 5 scenarios? And you have to be able to handle that. And that's where it comes into risk management. If you are in retirement, even though you think the market's going to scream higher, you still don't want to take full market risk, because what if you're wrong and then you would take a 50% haircut to your portfolio? That would be stupid. So even if it's a low probability of things going wrong, you won't take that risk because of the potential of the one outcome, even though it's not likely. It's highly unlikely. If it happens, you have to be able to survive it, which is opposite when you're younger. So again, our youngest in the room in high school is now you can turn around and look at it from the other way. Of all the outcomes, really none of it matters. You haven't even entered the workforce yet. So you can actually take a ridiculous amount of risk, because say you put $1,000 in and you lose. Say you put $1,000 in and it goes to zero again. You can do that several times. I mean, you're not going to like that scenario. You can do that several times, but what if the one time, say you buy an individual stock like DraftKings and it goes up 400%, it's like, well, now you've turned your $1,000 into $4,000. So you've got time on your hands to really take all the risk and manage the different scenarios. So back to the presidential election. So scenario is this is nothing. The symptoms that he's showing, they're able to treat him. We learn a lot more about this because obviously if we don't, like, I don't personally know anybody who's gone through all the treatments. So I will now, because it's going to be the news cycle for the week, is, what's going on with the president today or this hour. So, full recovery, back on into the next debate or whatever, campaign trails and election rhetoric, that sort of thing. So the absolute nothing scenario, market does what it was going to do going into the election. Maybe a muted sort of recovery to where the president's kind of out of it and really can't campaign going into the election. That would be interesting. I don't think I've seen a scenario for that. We start getting into the negative outcomes of, he's hospitalized and now, it's he's on a ventilator on election day. That would probably be, an interesting scenario. That's going to hit the market, I think, or I don't think it'd be celebrated, but so we shall see. Obviously, you could have a scenario where the president passes away, Mike Pence becomes a president right before the election. That would be interesting. I think the market sells off until we figure out what's going on. Another scenario, what if Biden pops positive? They were just right there screaming at each other, even though they were socially distanced, and I heard they did not shake hands. So yeah, whatever. What if the other candidate, same age demographic, if you will, excuse me, has that happened prior to the election? Well, I joked way back when in March, when your two primary candidates are in a tough demographic, if you will, for getting this thing. What if happens to both of them, right? Is Kanye still out there? Is he still on the ticket somewhere? What's going on? So all kinds of crazy things. Could we postpone the election? Now, that's probably the worst of the scenarios is, say, with just Trump or both candidates getting this thing, do we postpone the election? That would get everybody excited, and the market would get hit. So, all kinds of scenarios out there. So we don't know what we don't know, but I am happy to see that the market is not carrying as much as it did earlier. So Dow's only down a couple hundred points. So people are buying into this as if it's a non-event. So that's all I've got for you, and more questions than answers, so not very helpful, but good things to talk about, and we'll keep an eye on things today. But I do not plan any major surgical moves based off of the news until we know more. So with that, thanks for checking in. Kind of a short session on Friday, and we will catch you guys. Have a good weekend. We will catch you back Monday with a lot more information at our fingertips.